Accounting for partnership liquidations. This is different. We were adding or retiring a partner. This is a situation where things have gotten so grim that the partners have looked at the situation collectively and said, this is a failure. We give up. Let's go our separate ways. A partnership is considering possible liquidation because one of the partners, named Bell, is personally insolvent. Profits and losses are divided on a 4-3 to 2 to 1 basis respectively. So respectively means in the order their names are presented. You can add that up. 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 10. So Bell is 4/10, Hardy 3/10, Denard 2/10, Sudeth 1/10. Capital balances at the current time are as follows. So you can see below, again, Excel is great for partnership problems. I filled in their capital balances at the start of the question. Next paragraph, Bell's creditors. So creditor is someone you owe money to. So Bell owes somebody money. Maybe let's assume it's a car loan. So Bell in his personal life has a car loan, and the bank has filed a $21,000 claim against the partnership's assets. What does that say? That say Bell did not make his car loan payments, and the bank is trying to get money any way they can. So one way they're trying to get money is they realized that he is a partner in this partnership, so they're telling the partnership, hey, anything that you're going to give Bell, you have to send to us instead because we are first in line. So they are asking for $21,000. The partnership currently holds assets of $300,000, but we don't know what those assets are. You can't assume they're cash. It could be just $300,000 of land. The partnership has $100,000 of liabilities. So let me fill that in. So I filled that in on row 17. Assets are $300,000, liabilities are $100,000. You know a balance sheet has to balance, so that means the capital balances better add up to $200,000. But let's add a total column and check. So Excel makes it easy for me to add up those four numbers. And thankfully it is $200,000. So the balance sheet is in balance. Finally, we get to the question. If the assets, and the assets are on the books at $300,000, if the assets can be sold for $190,000, what is the minimum amount that Bell's creditors would receive? They're asking for $21,000. If we sell the assets for $190,000, you might think, well, clearly they're going to get the full $21,000. But this is a multiple choice question, and you can see they're not going to come close to that. The answer is somewhere between nothing and $6,000. Our job is to figure out which of those numbers is the right one. And there's no shortcut. You have to record gains and losses, allocate those to the partnership capital balances. So let's do it. So the assets are sold for $190,000. So assets they bought for $300,000 are sold for $190,000. So the assets are going to decrease from $300,000 to $190,000. That's a drop of how much? $110,000. Well, to keep the balance sheet balanced, something on the right side of the equation has to change too, and it's not going to be the liabilities. It has to come out of the partner's capital accounts. So we need to reduce collectively the partner's capital accounts by $110,000. We're not going to split it equally. That's not how they do things. We're going to allocate each person their share of the $110,000 loss. How do we know how much their share is? The question told us at the start of the problem. Bell has to take 4/10 of any loss. They tried to make the math easy for us. 110 times 0.4 is 44,000. Hardy has to take 30%. 3 times 11 is 33. So each partner's capital account will decrease. I totaled it up. You can see on the far right that I've allocated losses of 110. So now let's update their capital balances. So I've updated each person's capital account, and you can see now their capital accounts total $90,000. Add that to the liabilities, and the balance sheet is back to being balanced. What's the problem, though, is Denard now has a negative capital balance. We're going to ask Denard to send in money, but there's no guarantee he will. So right now we have to assume Denard is never going to pay us. So we have to allocate Denard's negative capital balance to the other three partners. And again, you don't do it equally. It's based on their loss sharing ratios. So let's call this reallocate Denard's balance. So balance for Denard is -8. So I need to raise Denard by 8,000 because we can't have anyone with less than 0. At the end of a liquidation, everyone's balance should be 0. So I'll increase Denard's balance by 8. I'm assuming Denard is not paying any money in, so the only choice is it has to come from the other 3 partners. So how much of that 8,000 am I going to take out of Bell's account? You might initially say 40%, but that's not correct because 40% is including Denard. Denard can't pay his own debts. So now we're down to 3 partners, Bell, Hardy, Sudith. So you have to add up their numbers. Bell is 4, Hardy is 3, Sudith is 1. 4 and 3 and 1 is 8. So for this purpose, Bell is now a 4/8 partner. 4 over 8 is half. So Bell has to take the hit for half of Denard's negative balance. Hardy has to take 3/8. What's 3/8 of 8? 3. And Sudith is now a 1/8 partner. Instead of 10%, 1/8. What's 1/8 of 8 is 1,000. So I figured out a total, and you can see it's nothing because I've taken Denard's 8,000 and allocated it to the other 3 accounts, and they offset each other. So the net change in the capital accounts is nothing. Okay, so I've updated each partner's capital balance. You can see Bell's balance now is 2,000, Hardy 20,000, Denard is at 0, Sudith 68. The balance sheet is in balance, so everyone is 0 or above. All the assets are now in cash. So we could conceivably pay the 100,000 of liabilities. That would leave 90,000 of cash. We could give 20,000 to Hardy, 68,000 to Sudith, but Bell's 2,000 we have to send to Bell's creditors. And that answers the question. It said if the assets are sold for 190, what is the minimum amount that Bell's creditors would receive? They would get answer B, $2,000. They could get more if later Denard sends that $8,000 in. The creditors could get an additional $4,000, but they will never get more than 6 total.